Terence is his full name, and he's the lead solution engineer with regards to Digital Workspace or EUC computing. Terry's been in the industry for many years now, for about 25 years, I believe, Terry, and comes with a host of experience around application development tools, infrastructure development, enterprise tools, etc. And today, Terry is going to take us through specifically the EUC side of solution set, but focus around the employee experience, or not customer, but employee experience. In other words, the people that do the work. Before Terry kicks off, I just want to say that our session is interactive. We're going to run through some slides, and Terry's got a really interactive slide deck itself with content. And then we'll have an open session for questions, and please feel free to just jot down your question or post it into the chat, and we can then go through it. But later on, once we're done with the deck, we're very happy to have interactive conversation with voice as well. So Terry, I'm going to hand over to you. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Feroz. Thank you, everyone, for joining and putting time aside to join us for this workshop. The presentation I prepared today really is around the employee experience, but we can also call it the user experience as well. In some cases, organizations, have employees, but they also have contractors and third-party people that visit them, and that can be extended to them as well. So what I've done is with the presentation, I've got a couple of videos in as well, just showcasing a couple of the practical implementations of this. And just a side mention, VMware has been using this internally for over the last 3 or 4 years, or I think it's even 4 years, quite extensively. So we are drinking our champagne or eating our dog food, or I don't know how what would be the best option. But yes, we are using it extensively, very successfully, and it really helped us also tremendously, around the lockdown and the pandemic, from a user experience, quickly onboarding of new employees, as well as business continuity and so forth as well. So it's not something I'm advocating that I don't believe in, or that we don't use, or that we just sell. We use it extensively. So let's kick off immediately. I'm going to kick off with a video, and then we'll take it on from there.
The workplace used to look something like this, and this, and this. When decisions about culture and technology were mandated from the top down, what more could you expect? Well, that was then. This is now. Employees are driving a new digital transformation, demanding more flexibility, more convenience, more choice. Businesses that follow their lead can support talent wherever they are, offering access to the apps they need and want, anytime, anywhere, on any device. With freedom from red tape, forgotten passwords, and IT headaches, people can spend more time collaborating, transforming, and innovating. This digital workspace empowers new champions of change, not just IT, not just HR, but every employee, and gives them the tools to turn every commute into an aha moment and every meeting into an opportunity for culture change. Companies that don't adapt will lose, because when you put employees first, you put business first.
Fantastic. As it states there, our world has really changed, not just because of the pandemic, but even before then. We really had seen a lot of changes in the way people do business, in the way users collaborate, and where they work from. So, bringing all of that into consideration, every worker out there actually needs a workspace, be it on their desktop or on their laptop that they own personally, or even their phones or smartphone or tablet, or the equipment or devices that was provided to them by the organization. And what they want is, as it says there, a frictionless access to their applications. They don't want to battle to get to applications. They don't want to remember passwords, or they don't really want to have the hassle of remembering all the different passwords, all the different application access methods, all the different web pages they need to access, or the application URLs. So it really makes sense that that companies or organization actually move to this digital platform or digitalization, way of providing applications to the end users. So what we're going to cover today from this workshop point of view is that employee experience. As you can see, there's a couple of other modules as well, modern management, virtual desktops, and applications and intrinsic security, which we'll cover, at some stage as well during the next couple of months. But the employee experience is obviously the first and most important portion of an organization's day-to-day operations. Productivity needs to be as optimized as possible, and to be able to do that, employee experience is really important. The challenge, though, that's out there for a lot of organizations, not just in our country or our region, but also across the whole world, is the fact that there's so many applications, different services, devices that people use. The younger generation want to use potentially tablets or smartphones instead of laptops or desktops. I always get very frustrated with my youngest daughter is now just finished off university, and they do all their correspondence, mail, everything on their smartphone. If questions arise around things that we need to know from a varsity point of view, I like to check what's happening on my laptop, my normal email. But they don't. They work from their phones, and it's frustrating for my age. But it's absolutely how they want to work. They don't want to work on a laptop for that point of view. So, those different work styles and different ways of doing it really causes a lot of headaches and also a lot of challenges for organizations. Because it's not just applications that's internally, that's also applications that's been hosted external to the organization as a service, or software as a service, web applications, those mobile applications that needs to be used on the devices, especially around the smartphones and tablets, and even applications on devices like laptops and MacBooks that you can download, from the stores. All these needs to be managed, given access to, try to keep your identity in sync and also identity secure, and not just accessing them, but also accessing them in the correct form, in the correct if you take context into consideration and conditional access. If certain conditions aren't met, do not allow access, or if certain conditions are change or conditions have changed, have a context. Be context aware that you actually adapt to that condition. But the employee journey is compromised out of a lot of things. From onboarding, the device ordering, taking training, signing documentation, as it says there, and also maybe potentially complete some surveys. Once again, I can take VMware in that same example, is that when an employee onboards in VMware, they can actually beforehand, while they sign their documentation or their contracts, it's all done obviously remotely these days, and they can then already start deciding what they want. Do they want a MacBook? Do they want a Windows device? If they go back to the office, what peripherals do they want? What type of screen do they want, and so forth as well. So there's a lot of things that can be done pre-starting. Before you start the organization, physically starting at the organization. But then also when employees, get to work day one and day two operations, get a digital badge, as it says, discover trainings, access to applications. And in certain cases, even in our region, South Africa or sub-Saharan Africa, when an employee joins VMware, for example, it can happen, and it has happened before, that a device has been delayed on its way here. So then that user, the first day they start, it will be, it can be very frustrating for them. Luckily, with this solution, with our solution or our platform, that is not a problem, because you can sign on from any device. It's even your home device, your personal device, your own personal phone or laptop or tablet. So, that just brings that whole thing together where, you have that day zero or the day zero experience where, everything you have that you require, you have at hand. And then day two operations and going forward as well, providing information to the end user and helping them on their journey through the organization. And then when they leave the organization, then that gets handled as well from a decommissioning point of view, as well as from an offboarding point of view. So there's a lot of things that that needs to happen during this period. So if we look at what employees are looking for in the workplace, there's various things. A consistent experience is really, really important. As I mentioned, yeah, you can use different devices. So you don't want to have a different experience from a smartphone to a tablet or to a home PC. You actually want to have that same consistent experience, especially if you're not very computer literate. We do have customers out there with employees that really battles from a computer literacy point of view. And if you can make it as easy as possible for these employees, it will be a great experience for them as well. We all assume that everyone today is really tech savvy. I promise you it's not the case, and I'm sure you've seen that before as well. Even in sophisticated organizations, you still have issues with regarding that. And then that engaging experience. They want to be able, to engage with their peers, with their management, as well as other people in the organization that might bring value to them on a daily basis, or where they need information from as well. Especially around these times as well, collaborating, very important, because you don't see a person face to face anymore. Well, it's starting to recover again, but it was an issue, and it's still an issue. So they want to have a proper experience with regard to engaging with other people, and not sit somewhere and just talk over a phone, instead of be able to really get to know the person that they're engaging with. But then also that productive experiences. They want to be productive from day one. They want to be able to work, get to their applications, get to the resources that they require. Otherwise, it's just a bad experience. And especially around retaining talent in an organization. If your organization is serious about talent, and you attracted the best talent that you can get, from a HR point of view, you want to keep that talent. You want to make sure that they are happy in what they're doing at your organization, and how they're being productive, how you enable them to be productive. Because top talent is sometimes difficult to get, and to keep it is also difficult. It might seem stupid in our region, that you say, well, if you got a job, you're lucky. That's not the case. You are lucky, yes, absolutely. But you want to also not just get people to have a job and not being the top talent, or not being very productive, or not being providing the best for your organization. So the solution that we have, the solution is quite straightforward, is to have a digital workspace, or a workspace that actually follows you, a workspace that's the same across, as you can see on the screen, across all devices. But also with the ability to sign into this workspace with a single identity, not to jump around between different identities for you when you need to access the software as a service application. Now you have to type in either is it the password with a extra digit letter, or the one with a special character, or is this now the one with the 7 or 8 digits? You want to be able to have that one identity that's federated to all the different systems, and then provide you access to those systems. But then also your IT wants to be able to control it and say, well, this person, they sometimes very open to phishing attacks, or their user score is not that fantastic because they don't upgrade their devices quite often. They are laggards with regard to the upgrade process. Maybe they download too many other shadow applications. So maybe they got a risk score, a little bit of a higher risk score. Let's just give them a second factor authentication. Or potentially, they're trying to access your application from a device that is that's compromised, either rooted or jailbroken, or some sort of blacklist application on there. Then you can also deny access. But then, apart from signing in with one identity, we can also federate those identities with different authentication methods. Certificate authentication, SAML authentication for single sign-on. Various other tokens that can be used as well. So that experience needs to be smooth for the user, but also IT needs to control. Sorry, do we have a question? Okay, not a problem. Okay, so self-service is also a fantastic idea for end users. So they want.
I'm not sure if it's only me, but I think
Terry,
we've
you've gone
lost
on
Terry.
mute. On mute. Terry, you've gone on mute.
Thank you.
So I've been talking to myself. How long have I been on mute? I hope not too long.
Just
Just
a
a few
moment.
seconds.
Okay, great. So you all had the deaf experience. Apologies for that.
If that was a test, I think some of us passed.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I'm
Terry.
glad you're listening. So thank you everyone for letting me know that I'm talking to myself. So if you look at the self-service side of things, as I mentioned, day one, the onboarding, or it's actually day zero, or prior to the onboarding, prior to the starting is the onboarding, and they're learning about the company, the order of equipment, and so forth. But day two and beyond is just as important. What about if you want to register a new device? Your device got stolen, perhaps. It happened to me. My device got stolen right in front of the Department of Justice, of all places, in Pretoria, out of my pocket. So I got the two-fingered flip, and it was stolen. So I had to quickly get my device wiped, and I could have done that with I'd done that with my self-service portal. So I had to pull out my laptop. I signed in. I got to my self-service portal, and I wiped my device. I locked it. I wiped it, and then in fact I didn't even enterprise wipe it. I factory reset it. But also you want to be able to create tickets, support tickets, sync your device, as well as, discover frequently asked questions. Maybe there's an issue with regard to some applications, or maybe some website in your organization that had an issue, or there was an outage. Then, those type of things can also be communicated. And then also when you offboard, from an offboarding side of things, your IT can enterprise wipe the devices, remove those application entitlements, and potentially also for alumni, if you go back to the organization, or stay in touch with the organization. Let's look at quickly.
Employee experience is about how you make your workforce productive, no matter where or how they want to work. This includes remote employees who work from home. Workspace ONE provides remote employees with the tools they need to be successful, starting from onboarding throughout their day-to-day work. Peyton has accepted her offer with Acme Enterprises and has accessed Intelligent Hub on her personal device. She is able to easily complete a few onboarding tasks, like ordering a device, taking some training, and signing a few last forms. On Peyton's first day at work, she's able to get started right from home. Her device of choice has been sent to her, and she's able to be productive immediately. Intelligent Hub powers onboarding efficiency as well as day-to-day tasks that matter. Peyton is able to triage her "for you" each day. This allows her to stay up to date on relevant news from her new employer, as well as anything she needs to take action on. All her apps are in one place, so she can search and launch directly, no matter which device she's working from. She can find teammates and connect with them easily. Continuing her career development is important, and being a remote employee shouldn't slow her down. As a new people manager, she wants to discover any upcoming training that she can take on leadership. No matter when or where Peyton chooses to work, she has self-service and remote support options to keep her productive. When she has questions about how to get her VPN set up, she can screen share with IT to get the issue resolved quickly. Workspace ONE, powering productivity from anywhere through great employee experiences.
So as you can see there, it's quite a nice experience. Personally, I think it's quite a nice experience, especially for the end user. At the heart of it, what drives it is what we call our Intelligent Hub. We amalgamate. We got a platform that we provide out to our end users, but at the heart of it is our Intelligent Hub. And I just listed there, for example, a hands-on lab that can be done as well by yourselves or by your technical staff or even non-technical staff, just to look at how the identity management portion and the federation is working with this Intelligent Hub from a Workspace ONE access point of view. So as it said that the Intelligent Hub is at the center of everything. So that's your way to access your applications with a managed or unmanaged device. And it's across all the different devices, and also across all the different platforms, not just Windows or Mac OS, but also iOS, Android, and even from a browser point of view as well, any HTML5 compliant browser. So that provides you really a unified way of staying connected, as it says in the video, or the small short little video that we showed. Is that you have an application catalog where you can get to all your applications, and yes, you'll have a catalog with everything, but then you also have a favorites tab, so you can move just the ones that you use, but you do have the luxury of getting to some other applications. But then also being able, as it says, your enterprise contacts in your directory, to be able to connect to that person that you need to get information from, potentially a product manager, or someone else's manager, or maybe one of your peers that just maybe newly started, or in one of the other teams that you need to contact, and you can always remember all the contacts, and not everything is always on your phone. So that is fantastic to be able to get to that as well, and get information around that as well. Obviously, it's dependent on the organization's rules around divulging some detail, but it's not personal detail. It's just detail around, if that's okay. It's business detail or work detail around his email, his or her email address, and potentially work telephone number, contact details. But then that custom notifications and approvals point is also really, really important. Getting notifications in your workspace, in your workspace, not necessarily email notifications, but things like there's new applications for you, there's an update for an application available. There's a alert application to say, well, we had an issue with maybe Office 365 or some other application, or just informational stuff around there's a company meeting next week, or what we call fireside chat, or anything like that. And then those corporate services around support and getting services from your support people, or from support staff. That is also part of that, and we call all of this a hub services. So if you look at every app from anywhere, that's the one that shows all your applications. As you can see at the top, there's a favorites portion as well, and then that application is also available, as it says, across all the different devices, and also the simple authentication methods, including the Face ID method, a fingerprinting PIN, password, multi-factor authentication, linking to Radius, or we got our own solution internally, not internally, but it's also part of the platform called VMware. That's a one-time password solution. So if you don't have something like that in place already, we provide it with a platform as well. But and that's exactly what I was just talking about now, is the VMware side of things. So you get a one-time password or token that's been provided to you, and then you just enter that into the second factor authentication portion. Contacting with people, contacts in your organization, as it says there. Maybe you want to get a profile information of the person, who's their manager, etc. So it's really a fantastic way of collaborating also with your peers. And then those custom notifications, as I mentioned, as it simple says, your pass will expire soon, or there's Conquer updates from a expense point of view, and even like a survey type of thing. We want to hear more from you. What do you think around this program that we have, or this initiative, and so forth. And then the support, that is really important, especially around working from anywhere. People want to be able to, if there's an issue with their device, or issue with their application, or issue with anything work related, you're able to get to your support people. If it's not in a device that's giving you a problem, you can just switch over to one of your other devices, because we all have a second device. Well, 99% of us have a second device, either a phone or smart or tablet. And even if you don't have that, maybe you can just go to a internet cafe, or use some other person's laptop, and go into a browser and connect into your workplace securely, and then connect, get some support there as well. And then what we've also in the last couple of months made available is integration to physical security. We all have our badges. A lot of us have access control at our offices, and sometimes you leave your badge at home. It's very frustrating. I stay about 80 kilometers from our office, and so if I left my badge at home, especially now with the COVID, when our office is open, they said there's no tailgating. Firstly, you can't running between, within another person, and no badge, no entry. It's like no mask, no entry. It's really become the norm now. So yes, now you can have it on your phone, and you can also integrate that into your systems there as well. And we've got a nice little video around that as well, just to showcase that.
An employee's day-to-day is made up of physical, technological, and cultural experiences. One common physical experience is access to work, whether a distribution center, retail store, or corporate office. We've all had those days where we can't find our badge, or it isn't very convenient. With Workspace ONE Intelligent Hub and HID, we can put digital access into an employee's favorite tool, their mobile device. With HID card readers, employees can use their phone to badge in, and when verified, access is granted. One of the benefits of a physical badge is the ability for security teams to easily confirm if someone is an employee or not. Intelligent Hub also provides the user a digital ID badge that can be easily shown to security. Workspace ONE Intelligent Hub aligns the digital to the physical workspace, enabling the best employee experience.
So as you can see, that is a fantastic idea that they came about. But also, as part of that, we also have internal applications, or productivity applications that, mobile applications that can be deployed as well. We got a Workspace ONE application where, especially in the US now, when the office is open, they can have sort of track information around where outbreaks are around, maybe a third wave or whatever number of wave it can be. And then also if people have been potentially tested positive and so forth as well, that you get an alert around that as well. But yes, once again, privacy is also important there. So if that's not something that your employees want to do, that's just an optional experience. So that's fantastic from a user experience point of view. But then also from an IT point of view, employee experience management is just as important. You as IT or us as IT will never know, or won't, in a lot of cases, don't even know around issues that happen on your end user devices. Maybe they have a hang year or two, applications that crash, or slow signing, and usually when a new application goes out or some update went out, there's always a flood of calls. Well, now my machine is slow, or now this is slow, or the application access is slow as well. So the employee experience management is also really, really important. And we introduced the digital employee experience management as part of our unified endpoint management tool, and linking into our employee experience from a application access point of view as well, is it will take the unique, it will harvest the telemetry from your devices, mobiles or desktop devices, and then provide insights into and predictive, being proactive around issues that might occur on these devices. And that includes at this stage, the Windows devices, Mac OS devices, and very soon, if it's not been released already, also the mobile devices as well. And the platform capabilities there, as it says, there's cross-platform visibility into the experience of the user, to find out, has the application, how many times the application crashed? Maybe you updated, did an update, a patch update, but it actually caused an issue around maybe a sound driver or a video driver on a specific device or a specific range of devices. And all of this then can be sort of get quite out of hand if you don't really have a handle on this. And executives always think everything's running smooth. IT always think everything runs smooth, but it's not always the case in the field. So it's fantastic to have an idea of, or at least have a better idea of what's happening, and get that information so that you can be proactive. Troubleshoot with a flight recorder. So now you can see what was the events that happened. Maybe a patch went down, and now you start seeing a spike in a audio driver that's crashing because of a patch, and you go into that dashboard, and now you can even drill down and see, okay, this is the module that crashed, this is the event code in Windows, for example, and you can go Google that, for example. 0005 error, and click on that, you get the detail, and you might see that there's already an issue around this patch causing this issue on this specific device or audio device. And then you can collaborate back to the users and saying, with a notification saying, we know about the issue, please bear with us, we are getting a patch, or we're getting a solution for that as well. And then, as it says, you close the loop with the user feedback. because then, if something goes wrong, if you can just, and we all like that. If something goes wrong, you just want some feedback, or at least every now and then just someone saying to you, we are looking at it. Yes, we know about it. We understand it's very painful. Then it already sort of alleviates a little bit of the stress. Not fixing it, but it alleviates it as well. And then you can also get that industry insights onto sort of, it's across the board. Maybe it's, it's not just us having this issue, but it's also other organizations. Really making your troubleshooting somewhat easier.
Meet John. Like many of us, John uses smart automation daily in his personal life to protect his valuable assets, simplify chores, and get to places faster. But when it comes to work, chaos just seems normal. What if John could bring his everyday simplicity to the workplace? With VMware Workspace ONE, he can. Workspace ONE lets John simplify IT from the get-go, even before users lay hands on their device, any device. He gets started with solutions, simple workflows that save IT valuable time in setting up the digital workspace. He is guided through smart recommendations for apps and policies, best suited for a use case that business drives. So when the new sales employee Jamie receives a work device on her first day, she is productive immediately. She has all apps ready, not only on her PC, but also her smartphone, so she can hit the ground running to make her first big sale. In the past, John spent 80% of the time keeping the lights on for the systems he supported. Not anymore. Workspace ONE lets him automate routine IT operations, whether it's securing devices or making sure the team's ready for the next audit. For example, using Workspace ONE, John quickly pulls a report on app license usage. He creates automation to revoke user permissions, remove apps on device, and even inform users so they aren't surprised. And his ROI on app purchases is greatly improved. John also spends less time solving routine IT issues. Workspace ONE scans performance data across hardware and software to proactively manage users' digital experience. For example, Workspace ONE predicts the hard disk on Jamie's Windows device may fail in the next few days. Using intelligence automation and connectors to an ecosystem of IT tools, Workspace ONE immediately triggers data backup, kicks off a warranty replacement ticket, and notifies John and Jamie about the replacement. With modern management and intelligence, John has elevated both user experience and security. And his IT team is now both cost-effective and business-centric. At the end of the day, nothing gives John more pleasure than seeing an employee that's happy with the services he's delivered. So when Jamie sends a thumbs up on her experience, John knows he's doing things right. Redefine modern management with Workspace ONE.
That's a component around the modern management, but it ties into the, and we'll cover this at a later session, but it ties into your digital employee experience management as well. So the employee experience is really linked to this tightly as well. As you could say, you see in the video, application rationalization, you can see who's using what. Potentially you have too many application licenses for people that's not using some of it. You can really start looking at that type of thing to reduce costs in certain cases as well. See what the top applications has launched, how the applications perform. We had some comparison between Zoom and Teams internally. Who's using more Zoom? Who's using more Teams around that? And that can really bring a lot of information back to the back-end application developers and the back-end IT guys to know where we can rationalize as well. And it's got it really makes a difference to the bottom line. Device health and refresh also to see the patching, the updates, and so forth, to ensure that users are getting the best experience based on their device health, as well as also making sure that they are secure from a patching point of view. And then that Windows and OS application analytics, updates causing a problem, slow logons, out of the norm logons, application crashes and so forth as well, and even linking in things like intelligence into consumer applications. The simple thing like an airline application that customers use. You want to see how many times it crashes, or or a survey or an application maybe that a municipality or university or someone that uses from a utilities bill or from a registration or something like that, then you can get information back around that to say, well, we see it crashes a lot. Maybe have some breadcrumbs within the application to see, well, this portion is taking longer than another portion when they signed on. A lot of information that can be recovered back. So if you look at that intelligence experience, or that intelligent management using that intelligence, an admin notices an application adoption decrease, gathers information, identifies a device and app slowdowns. It could potentially be just a set of devices or a range of devices, maybe a specific OEM causing a problem, and then sends notifications to users to put them at ease, to say, we know about the issue, let's look at it, or we have a solution, or we are working on a solution. And then, when it's done, send out the app update or the update that's required. So just in closing, from our Workspace ONE or our solution, just a technology overview or overview of exactly how this all fits together, is we do have the different additions out there and different solutions out there around accessing the applications or providing access, the endpoint management, that intelligence on top of it to provide you feedback, insights, and automation. But then we also have the VDI and publish application side of things as well for those old pesky legacy applications that you want to get access to. Because our digital platform or our digital workspace provides you access not just to the modern applications, cloud native applications, but also those old legacy applications, providing you that full spectrum of application access. And with that, for us, that is what I wanted to cover. If we have any questions around that, or if there's anything else people want to find out.
Thank you, Terry. I think that was awesome. I think you covered a lot of interesting things there. There was a bit of not really an overload, but certainly a lot of good stuff coming out of it. So just Terry alluded to something with regards to the next workshop. So we've planned a series of workshops around the end user experience, the digital user environment, modern management, application management, etc. The next one is targeted for end of July. We haven't sent out invite yet. It will go out in the next few weeks, and it will more than likely be on modern management or your endpoint management. So the moment we've got that ready, we'll send out the invitations to everyone, and would love for you guys to attend that one as well. So Terry touched on a lot of good things. I've picked up a couple of questions, but before I go into questions, I want to open up the floor to the forum maybe and see if anyone in the audience has questions they want to ask, either via text or welcome for you to turn on your audio or your mic.
I see there's a hand raised by Ilse.
Ilse. Please go ahead, Ilse.
Good morning, all. I have a question around VPN access, Terence. We struggle quite a lot with people working all over the place and having legacy environments on campus. And I see now we are quite familiar with Workspace ONE. And if we had the money, I would buy tomorrow. I love the product and it's exactly what we need. But I see in your slides at the moment, you have the app VPN. So I was wondering, do Workspace ONE need a VPN per site to connect into your workspace environment? That's my question one. And the other question is maybe a little bit off topic, but is there a VMware VPN solution available for separate available without people using Workspace ONE, but have a more or less a hybrid environment?
Okay, so sorry, that first question I just broke up. What was the first question, Ilse? Sorry, apologies.
The first question was, I see that you have a app VPN included in your whole Workspace ONE environment. Is that something that we can utilize outside the Workspace ONE environment?
Ilse, I would love to say yes, but unfortunately at this stage not. There are plans in the future. So the per app VPN is fantastic in the sense that, yes, VPNs, as you mentioned, we found after the pandemic, and even with distance learning, I'm sure with your side, you find a lot of times that the VPNs that can't handle it, they fall over, and full devices come into the VPN. So now you get a person's personal device potentially that's got issues on it, and coming onto the VPN and cause a problem. With a per app VPN, you can specify coming in through a unified access gateway, specific applications to connect through, and it connects through what we call a unified access gateway. Now, that unified access gateway is also available in the Horizon product, Ilse. I think you guys do use in certain faculties.
Yeah, we have that.
So it is available within that as well, but unfortunately, at this stage, it is still linked. The per app VPN is still linked to the Workspace ONE product, because you have to have a managed device so that you can push down a profile and push down a certificate. But there are on the roadmap, there is unmanaged device solution as well. Unfortunately, at this stage, it's not separate. But tomorrow we're having an Anywhere Workspace webinar that they're talking about the SASE Secure Access Services Edge, where we're going to start incorporating that unified access gateway into what we call points of presence for VeloCloud. Now, that VeloCloud points of presence, across the world, across countries, will be available. In South Africa, I think it's later on in this year. But then that per app component will be then part of that component, and then potentially there it can be done separately. But offhand, I can't say yes it will be, but at this stage there's no separate product, and I'm very, very sorry that you can't use it, because it's perfect for your environment. But yes, I understand. Financial constraints. A lot of companies these days have a lot of issues around that. I wish I could give it away for free. I really wish so. But,
I'm first in line, please.
I see Feroz already getting agitated with me because I want to give it away for free. But I would love you to use it, because I really believe in it, and I use it myself as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Thierry. No, I'm not agitated by it all. I'm excited. I think if customers can get more value from the applications, it makes for a better investment and better utilization. I mean, that's just the story of life. But before I hand over to Charles, who's put up his hand, Thierry, maybe you want to stop sharing the content, then we can get the video to go full screen. Charles put up his hand a moment ago, and he has a question. Charles, do you want to get off mute and tell us your question?
Hi, Thierry and Feroz. Thank you. So the question is just, we've got users that make use of laptops, and they've got monitors attached to the laptops. Can you extend the desktop to use multiple screens?
Is that specifically around the VDI component, or is that
VDI component? Yes.
Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. We can extend it up to four monitors. We can even, if you use the RDP protocol, extend it to more than that. But our internal our protocol that we have, a proprietary protocol, we got 3 of them, or 2 of them is PC over IP and Blast, and both of them you can extend beyond multiple.
And then also extending local printers to the VDI environment, so you're able to print.
Absolutely, local printers, network printers. We got location-based printing, and then we also support the universal printer driver together with potentially the devices driver. The printers driver. So yes, we absolutely do support that.
Okay, cool. And then you can. Sorry, continue.
Carry on.
And I also saw that you've got the DLP, data loss protection policy, so you can lock down the device so users can't copy information from the VDI to their local machine.
Absolutely, absolutely. You can lock down on the fly. You can lock it down as a user signs in based on conditions. We call it dynamic environment manager. It was always called user environment management. It's now called dynamic environment manager, where you can do very much a lot of lockdowns. Lockdown, drag and drop, because we allow also even dragging and dropping a file from your laptop or device onto the VDI session, or copying from a local or whatever. But you can also disallow that as well. So if a user connects from, maybe you allow that in the office, but when a user connects from home or some other place or specific condition, you just disallow it. So yes, absolutely, we can do that. We unfortunately, maybe you can also take away the screen printing component if you manage the device. But if someone wants to take a photo, if someone wants to get,
they take with the phone. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always a challenge in terms of innovation from users, eh?
Yeah.
So on that same note, Thierry, I mean, we spoke about the VDI component of it. Will the VDI component give you the ability to use your conferencing tools as well, like your Zooms, your Teams, etc., and your telephony tools as well today? Voice of IP.
Absolutely, yes. Especially around, the Teams and Zoom and even WebEx plugins. I know WebEx is quite old, but even those, we have plugins for those, or let's call it a plugin, where if you, for example, have a team session like we're having now, you can offload that and you access it via a VDI desktop or publish application. You can offload that to your local device. You're still using the VDI session, but then the Teams portion is from peer to peer, from this device to your device, for example, or whatever. So we absolutely do that, and we call it an optimization pack that comes with this addition of Horizon, Teams and Zoom and so forth, optimization pack to give you that proper, not crackling voice type of experience. And the same with the soft tone things as well. We integrate in things like via various other systems as well, where we do very much the same thing, that you don't hairpin that communication.
Okay, excellent. Okay, cool. Well, to the audience again, any other questions? Time is still good. So while there's no questions, I mean, one of the things you noted there was very interesting for me is application usage tracking. Often companies or organizations license a high volume of endpoints for user applications. Let's just use an example. Let's say Visio, for example. Let's say you license 100 Visio licenses, but you don't really know what's the utilization like on it, and yet you're paying for that license every year, or renewal, or software assurance, whatever the case might be. But you may find that you only have 20% of your audience that actually use the license, and this is what you're saying. The application can give you the report in terms of utilization, so that you can decide on what applications to invest or determine the direction for your organization.
I agree. Yes, absolutely. Yes, that is, and we do it in both. We do it in the device management or intelligence component of the modern management that we're going to have a next session on, but also within the VDI component as well. We can also there limit the. Firstly, we can see how many users want to use it, but we can also limit the attachments to that or the entitlements to that as well. But from a modern management point of view, you're absolutely 100% right. We can get data from that and really see and optimize your end users, license usage. And a lot of companies are looking for that, because they, as you quite rightly mentioned, some of those are. And I worked for Standard Bank for quite a long time prior to working for VMware, and we got caught with Adobe like that, because so many users used the Adobe licenses and it wasn't licensed. So it really, it was a huge knock for Standard Bank around the fine.
Okay, so that's an interesting point you raised there, because now you can also pick up unauthorized applications, or you can stop the installation of unauthorized applications.
Blacklisting applications, even whitelisting applications, and then, based on conditions. So if there's certain conditions met, blacklist the application, or whitelist if you wanted to have it available. So yes, absolutely controlling that as well. This new modern management or new age of management around different devices and different platforms out there really opened up a lot of opportunities and new features to our end users and to IT.
Yeah. So talking about IT and modern management, the video with John, the IT guy, was quite frustrated. I loved the way he had to tap his light bulb, the lampshade to come on. Typical dark, gloomy room, but it's quite frustrating for IT people. So some organizations has got a high volume of users. I mean, sometimes you've got customers that buy, hundreds of notebooks over a year, for example. And do those notebooks have to go to the IT guy to prepare, so that the IT team then load your applications, then ship it out to the end user, looking at specifically now during the pandemic, or remote workforce?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. Yeah. Sorry.
How would you manage that? I mean, the load and the application loading, your application loading.
Yeah. So as part of our modern management component and that experience that we want to provide to the user is we have with the different OEMs, and it started off with Dell, but it's been extended to HP and Lenovo as well from a hardware point of view, is what we call drop shipping. So you as a customer can have a preset of applications where you have your applications, potentially some of them that you need to download, some of them as VDI, some of them web and so forth. But you can then create what you call your base image, send it off to the OEM. to the factory, and then also what we call a package, a pre-package of applications, the larger ones to send. So when they build it with your device, with your image, they already enroll it into Workspace ONE, into your tenant. Those applications are already installed as part of that PPKG file that you provide to them. And then it's loaded with a staging user, sent directly to the user. You don't have to send it to your IT even if you don't want to. And then when the user gets it, and it's a domain join, for example, they can even offline domain join it or join it to the newer way of doing it via Azure. But when that user wants to sign in, obviously it's still with a staging user. That per app VPN then will be established. The user will type in their detail, their username and password. It will verify you, and your device will then get configured even more based on your profile. But your applications, most of the applications would be there already because it's been done at the factory. So it's really that excellent user experience around getting your device really pre-prepped already, and you just get the final bits and bobs and maybe a couple of other applications and configurations that's specific to your role.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. I mean, that explains that quite nicely. To the audience again, any other questions from the audience? Okay, we've got somebody here with a hand up. Shaul again, yeah.
Yes, me again.
Yeah.
Just trying to compare to Windows Virtual Desktop. How does this compare to Windows Virtual Desktop? Also making use of Azure hosting it there, running on one VM, starting up all those maybe 10 virtual desktops. How is this different?
Okay, so that component that we've spoken about, the VDI component or the Horizon component, that really is where we play in that space for Windows Virtual Desktop. So we collaborate with Microsoft. We actually got a very close partnership with them. They're providing that Azure platform, for example, with the Windows Virtual Desktop. But what we do is we can put with our Universal Horizon license, we can now, you can either host on-prem or you can host in Azure from a capacity point of view, your backend point of view. But that Windows Virtual Desktop, we can complement that. So you can still use a Microsoft Windows Virtual Desktop. But what we bring to the party is we call it Horizon Cloud. So we have our control plane, your management plane, separated. So you can now have multiple instances of Horizon, and one of them could be Azure, where you run it on Azure. And then we link into that Windows Virtual Desktop. So we provide you with that extra capabilities from our code, from our protocol, the BLAST or the PC over IP instead of RDP. So it's a better experience. There's a lot more configurations that you can do, advanced power management. So we very much collaborate with them. It's the same experience, but it's just, let me put it, it's a better experience with the same virtual desktop sort of put together. But we work very closely with them and collaborate. So yes, it's a protocol, it's the extra stuff, the management plane, information and so forth, monitoring that we bring to the party. So we work with them on that. Does that make sense? Does it make sense? I know a lot of customers go the route of, Windows Virtual Desktop is there now, but what we do is we provide all that extra functionality. You can still have the Windows Virtual Desktop, but then you complement it with our stuff, and then you run our agent on there and so forth, and running it on Azure as well.
But you don't really need the Windows Virtual Desktop.
No, we don't need it. We don't need it. We can do it.
Because you can have your normal applications like your normal Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, the normal stuff that they use, and the additional applications that are accessed in the cloud, they can access from that platform. So I'm trying to think in terms of Windows Virtual Desktop, if you're running it in Azure, you'll have a server that have the capability of running maybe 8 or 10 VMs. How does your solution work? Does it also have a backend with a server?
Yes.
X number of users.
Yes.
So what is that ratio? So you'll have one server running how many people?
So your backend, if you do it on premise, for example, so if you do it in Azure, you don't worry about it because the capacity is there, and you don't worry about yes, you pay for it, but you don't have to manage it. If you do it on premise, we do the same thing. So you have your backend infrastructure with vSphere and our hypervisor, and then you can potentially go up to, obviously you have a socket in each server, or in that server there's so many cores. We can go up to 5 or 6 VMs per core, even more than that, depending on the type of desktop you want to provide out. So you can potentially have on up to 100 desktops per server running there. Obviously, if you need you have enough capacity from a RAM point of view, storage point of view, and so forth as well. But what we do is we have a base image, what we call it a golden master. We optimize it, and then we don't even have to put all the applications in there. Then you create a pool of desktops. So if that master was 80 gig in size, your pool of desktops, each desktop will be 5 gig in size because it uses as master as a read only. And then what we do is those applications, we have capability, we have a technology called app volumes. You split out your application. So when a user signs in, and me as Terry sign in, and I've got access to X, Y, and Z application, but it's not in the base image, it will just be attaching those virtual hard drives, application virtual hard drives, to that virtual machine, and then you can get a better ratio in controlling your applications as well. But yes, we also have the on-premise solution based on a base image, or either a Windows 10 base image, or a server image for publishing out applications, or a session-based desktop. So if we compare it with virtual desktop in Windows Virtual Desktop, they do very much the same. They use a template, and then they just create full virtual machines in their platform. So it's very similar to that.
They basically start it up as you require.
That's correct. But the difference there is you pay per capacity. So you pay per use and so forth.
And you require that Windows Premium license.
The Windows Premium license, yeah, the Azure Premium license.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So that's all.
100%.
Thank you, Charles. That's some interesting questions from you. I think we can need to continue that conversation offline. Anyone else in the audience who's got questions or just comments or concerns? Perhaps I can ask a question to the audience. I mean, who of you are using some form of application management, either through VDI or something a bit more advanced in the way we've discussed today, or something similar, or have identified a need in your business for this? Is there anyone that wants to comment on that? Or is it all old school fat client? Okay, no questions on that one. So
just a comment, if I can. Sorry, so with our VDI portion as well, that user experience, we can also connect to physical machines internally in the organization as well. So it's not just VDI that's there, but potentially you want to keep your physical machines, desktops there, and you want to connect via the VDI, via the gateway, the Unified Access Gateway, as I mentioned to Ilse earlier as well. Via the tunnel or Horizon tunnel, you can connect to those as well via our protocol. So just for info around that as well. But we'll have a session once again over this as well.
Okay, awesome. So the question I was going to ask is, can you talk me through the use case for contract workers, or where there's some flexible staff of non-permanent workers?
Yeah. So the use case there specifically, a contract worker don't necessarily want to enroll their device. They don't want to enroll their physical device, or even maybe their phone or so forth. Although we can allow that to enroll them, or provide the capability to enroll it as a BYOD, or bring your own device. And then we have a privacy framework around that as well, that get pushed down, or that gets implemented as part of that enrollment, to say, to provide the user with the information that we do not touch his personal stuff or his personal web browsing and so forth. We just push down our stuff. Okay, or from organization stuff. But a lot of customers find that it's easier to use a VDI solution for contractors, because they connect from anywhere. They connect with their own devices. They connect into a virtual desktop or into a published application. But if they are open to management of their devices, I know that one of our customers had, I think it was Vodacom, that their contractors had to enroll their device, a Windows 10 device. And then that device gets encrypted by our system as well, via BitLocker. And the encryption key is, the recovery key is provided to the user, or it's escrowed back to the console. Not all contractors will allow that, but there's companies that do it that way as well. But I think a lot more, from what I've seen, is the VDI solution and published application solution for the contractor use case.
And you've touched on something there. What does it mean for security? I mean, if it's a contract worker and they've got no access to the VDI application, whatever it might be.
So if for us,
what does it mean for security back end? Yeah.
So the security side, okay, from a VDI point of view, is extremely secure in the sense that you can lock it down. So all the processing happens in your organization's data center. Nothing gets on the device because you put policies in place. From a device that gets enrolled via BYOD, there we provide that per app VPN tunnel. So once again, the user, we might push down some applications to that device. You might not even worry so much about the patching and anything around that device because it's a user's personal device. But those applications that he's required to access, work-related stuff, we can then provide that per VPN tunnel. So we push down a profile, a certificate. We configure certain rules around what this application needs to access this backend, and there's specific device rules that gets and routing rules, and that's another way of doing it as well. So that device, his laptop might have some viruses on, it might have some issues on, but none of that will be transversed back into your data center because of that per VPN. It's very much, and then you can go even one step further by putting NSX in the backend and doing micro segmentations in your data center. So when that application comes in, it'll only speak to a specific server, a specific solution, and it can't spread from there like a soft egg inside anyway.
Mm. And the per VPN, per app VPN sounds interesting because it's very different from a generic client, a VPN client, because a VPN client basically opens up your entire machine to the business network as if you were local, right? Which means anything that's happening on your machine and can extend itself like ransomware or malware can extend itself into your business device. Obviously, there's firewalls and stuff as well, but the risk is still there. Whereas the app VPN still keeps your local stuff separate and treats your business content separate, which is a great differentiator, obviously.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's interesting. In terms of controlling costs, I mean, what does it mean for the business running this kind of application? What does it mean to cost management or your application management or IT support or whatever the case might be?
So that's an interesting question. So if you look at our platform that we provide from a Workspace ONE point of view, so we can consolidate a lot of the extra stuff that you're using in your organization. As you mentioned, the VPN software, potentially using maybe something like Jamf, another product to manage, another platform, or something like MBAM to managing your encryption, or something else. We can consolidate all of that into our platform. One throat to choke if you want support, but also then saving costs on those other things. We even have the remote assist component that you can replace, for example, something like a team viewer across the board. Not just for Windows, but for Android, iOS, and so forth as well. So you can consolidate all of that and save around that from a cost point of view, because you have one platform, one solution, and you pay one license and one support license.
Okay, so that's interesting because, I mean, there's a license cost saving there. There's already a built-in management tool for remote access or for tech support, etc. And how do you communicate? How does tech services communicate with their users?
And that can be done via that notifications portion that's part of the Workspace ONE access. So it can be done either via that, or you can push down a push message down to the device as well. To chat to the user that way, but also via that notifications pane in the Workspace ONE access in their workspace. They can actually also get some communicating down there. But then once again, also if you want to take over the person's device and so forth, that can be done via screen typing as well on the device.
Okay, all right. And that again is more secure because sometimes people use applications that are dodgy for screen sharing and application usage. There's quite a few out there that's a bit strange.
Yeah.
There's those callers that call you to tell you, I'm calling from Microsoft and I need to reset your application and I need remote access. That scam that runs, that's been all over the news for years now. It's amazing how it still continues. But anyway, back to the audience again. I want to keep it open and interactive. If there's any other questions, I maybe have one or more questions I noted, but is there any questions from either my team or any questions from the audience still? While we give the audience a moment to think about that, I want to note something that you said earlier about leaving your badge at home. And I realized that during the pandemic, during the lockdown, even still today, I often forget my wallet because we stopped going out. And I'm out of the house, I'm on the road, and I go, ooh, I left my wallet at home. And that's a criminal offense today, obviously. I mean, if you get stopped, you're in shit, and basically.
Yeah.
So does it happen to you guys as well? I mean, Terry, you, the audience, is it only me that forgets my wallet?
Absolutely. And the wallet and the mask, those are the two things I always forget.
So the mask was an easy one to fix, right? Because I keep 2 spare ones, clean ones, in a packet, in my dash, in my cubby. So it happens, I'm on my way to work and I go, oof, okay, well, thank goodness. And I just pull one out and I come back home and just replace it. So I always have a supply on me, which is great. but the wallet, I can't have 2 of them, right? So it's interesting observation how behavior has changed.
So I think something for the future, and someone like Discovery already started that, is that scan to pay type of stuff. So first, you don't worry about the money side of things, but then maybe our government components or municipalities can start looking at digitalizing the your driver's license as well. I know it's very difficult because fraud is rife all over the place. But that might be another way of utilizing that type of thing, some sort of consumer application for your driver's license as well. And then that can be controlled because you put our SDK into that consumer application, and you can see, how many times it's been used, is it crashed, what's the user experience around it as well. So that might be another way of.
Okay. And that's a good point, actually. I mean, we're a little bit off topic here at the moment. The squirrels are running crazy in the head at the moment, but it's interesting stuff because we've seen FNB now come up with a virtual card and the ability to pay online. We've seen discovered Apple Pay certainly is available as well. But now suddenly we start thinking about maybe the driver's license should be as well. Because I never forget my mobile phone, right? I forget my wallet. Yeah. I never forget my mobile phone because that goes with me everywhere I go.
Absolutely. And maybe even if you've got your mobile phone, you can use maybe your partner's phone and log into the workspace, and you have the application potentially there available as well, because you can authenticate into that securely.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so from an audience point of view, I mean, if anybody's got questions, we're very, very happy to still host them. If there's no more questions, I'd like to wrap up and maybe just give Terry a chance to close from his side if he's got anything else he wanted to add. But I've got no other questions. I mean, it was an informative session. Thank you, Terry. I really appreciate it. Thank you to VMware for your support, and to the audience, thank you for attending. And we'll reach out to you to see if there's any interest for further discussions if you have them. But in addition to that, the additional sessions will come out probably in the next couple of weeks, and it will be continuing the theme of the mobile management, the device management, the modern application, not modern application, but modern management, the EUC stuff. So we'll continue the theme of I think we've mapped out about 4 sessions, Terry, over the next couple of months.
That's correct. Yes, that's great. Yeah. No, fantastic. Thank you, Feroz and First Tech for providing us with this platform, and all the customers that joined us, and everyone that joined us. Really appreciate your time. And if you want any more further information around this, we do have a site called techzone.vmware.com. I was going to put it on the screen like an advert, but I don't have it yet. So it's techzone.vmware.com. There's a lot of information there. There's videos, blogs, how to do, and we also have a test drive environment as well that can be extended to customers for a month or 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. That's something Charles might want to look into, is the test drive, if he's got some thinking around that, but we'll cover that with him separately. If anybody's got questions, feel free to inbox me. I think most of you have my email address. If not, you have Jolene's email address. Feel free to respond to her and she'll pass it on to me. So thank you, everybody. We can close the session.